Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I am speaking with 407 and Beyond's newest partner, Angela Chun of the exciting social media travel family Sunrise Voyagers. Before we begin, I just want to say how excited I am to be partnering with Angela and her family. They center on family travel around the world, which certainly fits our company's values of creating memories with friends and family. So with that introduction, let me introduce Angela Chun. Angela, how are you?
I'm good. Aloha. Good morning from our side of the world.
And Angela, where is your side of the world?
We are on Oahu in Hawaii.
Excellent, excellent. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Before we begin, and I want to ask you about your travels and some of the exciting places that you've been. Where can our viewers find you on social media?
Our major platform is on Instagram under Sunrise Voyagers, and we're also on TikTok and YouTube. We do some shorts over there as well. So, yeah.
Excellent. Now, how long have you? Well, first, before we get into that, how did you come
Yeah.
up with your Instagram and social media name?
So I love starting the day off strong and with full of excitement, and so that's kind of where the sunrise starts because it's a throw to new beginnings and starting the day off. And then the Voyagers part is kind of a throw to our Hawaiian background. The Hawaiians voyaged across the sea, if you think of Moana, that kind of stuff. That's us exploring and traveling and voyaging. So
I
that's where
I
that's
love it.
tied together. Yeah.
I love it. What inspired you to begin to document your travels and your adventures on social media the way that you have?
Yeah, I started off just to kind of record what we were doing. And then in 2019, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And then because of that and going through a lot of other surgeries, I did a prophylactic double mastectomy. And it just really put a fire under me that how important it is to spend this time that we have with our family. And so I really started just putting a timeline to everything that we did. And we just started growing from there. And I've really enjoyed actually the part that creating the community and kind of paying it forward to other people and showing all the tips and tricks that we've learned from trials and
Right.
error and things like that. And so to be able to kind of share that has been really great. So
That's
that's where that
fantastic.
started. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, I heard you mention the word community in the community that you have built on Instagram and other social media channels. Talk to me a little bit about why you thought partnering with us here at 407 and Beyond was just a good fit for you.
I've loved this company. It's a really young, fresh company, so I love that, and I love that it's small enough that you still feel like you get this intimacy with it, where they all the agents really seem to um, connect and be able to understand, that if I have a small family, like how I budget that into travel and things like that. So I feel like you really get that personal relationship with the agents, and so I've just loved that. And they're all really well trained. They all go through all the colleges for Disney and everything else. So that's great because you're getting that expert advice. So, and I just think that's so important, especially nowadays when we really have to budget everything we're doing. Living in Hawaii, we really have to be careful with how we are constantly flying on and off the island with a family of four people. So we've had to be really um, like learning how we're blah blah blah.
No, no, yeah, no, no. I know exactly what you're saying. You've had to become really travel savvy
Yeah.
in the manner in which you travel, how you travel, all of the logistics. So I certainly know exactly what you're saying. Um, Did you? I'm curious. Did you grow up traveling? I know you spoke to us about that really powerful, background and story that you have, and the inspiration for taking your family, around the world, and creating these, fantastic memories with them. Has travel always been something that was inspiring to you? Did you do it a lot of as a kid, or was it when you had kids that was kind of the starting point for really focusing on having these types of family memories?
It's for me, it started young. We did a lot of camping growing up. So my dad had an RV, and so we would just, drive around different places within the Southwest of the US. And there's just something magical for me about you wake up in a new place. And I remember one time in the RV, we were in this desert place. I don't remember even where we were at, but we woke up the next morning and it had snowed. So it was just this light dusting on the ground. And there was just something like was so special about seeing these new places and exploring. My dad, I remember he would just like pull off on the side of the road and be like, hey, let's go here. And just kind of would be a little more impulsive about where we would explore. So it always set this tone of adventure for us. And then when I was in college, I did a couple study abroads. I studied in Vienna and Austria, and then also in San Jose in Costa Rica. And that just really got me into the international travel and the culture and really learning a lot about people. So when my husband and I met, we met swing dancing. And so we used to dance every Saturday at Disneyland. And well, when we got married, our theme was adventure. So that's kind of been the undertone of our whole marriage. And so when we had kids, we just said, let's just keep this going. And so we started traveling with them when they were pretty young. We did the Caribbean, North America, and we've slowly expanded out. We've done Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. So we still have to hit Africa. That's the big one on my list someday. So yeah, we started just doing a lot more traveling with the kids, and it's been easier, of course, as they get older, but it's been really fun to create those
So
memories with them.
I feel like I have to ask. You mentioned that you met your husband swing dancing at
Yeah.
Disneyland. What's the story there? What was the event? The swing dancing event.
So it was this long time thing. They actually just stopped it because of COVID, and it doesn't look like they're going to bring it back. But prior to COVID, they used to every Saturday night in Carnation Plaza, which is now oh Fantasy Fair. There we go. But right in front of the castle, they would have, ever since Walt started it, and they would have a live big band play every Saturday night. So if you had like regular passes and stuff, you could just go, or even if you were just visiting. So they would have a live band, and it was just something so special because there was the same regulars that would come, and we had this great community. And then, you would ride a couple of rides or watch the fireworks. But it was just a really, really special time. And so it was, and then we started taking my son there after I had him, and then we ended up moving. So, but yeah, it was a really good time, and it's a great community of
That
people.
that that is an incredibly fun story.
Yeah.
So you moved from California to Hawaii. When did you move to Hawaii?
We moved, goodness, was it 4 years ago? We've moved a lot. We've lived in a lot of different states, but my husband grew up here and he really missed home. He wanted the kids to kind of have that cultural experience of where he grew up as well. It's got, the great aloha spirit here. So we've always raised the kids with that Hawaiian culture, but it was really great to finally come here and let them really dive deep into the culture here.
Now, on
Yeah.
your social media accounts, it looks like you guys are all over Hawaii. You're surfing, or you're swimming with dolphins, or you're doing all types of stuff. What would you
Yeah.
say would be your top three, tips or recommendations for somebody who is traveling to Hawaii on vacation?
Oh, There's so much, and I think it just depends on what your focus is. The big touristy things, are, of course, are going to be, the Pearl Harbor with the USS Arizona. To go see that. Kualo Ranch is a huge famous one. That's the Jurassic Park Valley that you can go through, and there's horseback riding and art, cars you can drive through there, and little bus movie tours, that kind of stuff. One that I absolutely love is the Polynesian Culture Center. And that one, you kind of go around to these different villages. And from what I've heard, is that actually Walt got his idea for the tiki room from PCC. So you
Okay.
go, yeah, and I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. And I think that's what they say there. So but you go around to these seven little villages, and you get to kind of experience, Tahiti and Tonga and Samoa, and you kind of get to a little taste of all the little Polynesian islands. But my favorite is they have this huge night show. It's this huge production. I feel like it's been the same for 15 years, or as long as I've been coming. But it's so good. It's just this huge production. It's fabulous. So I love that one. If you are really into nature, some of my favorite things are, let me think. So obviously there's, for scenic things, my favorite is over in Kauai is the Nepali coast. So you can get on these little rafts. They have bigger boats too. So if you get seasick, you don't have to do it. But if you're a little more adventurous, they have these rafts, the little smaller boats, and they can go inside these sea caves. And so we didn't know it goes into this loop. So we're just looking, and all of a sudden this guy, he guns it, and we just start flooring into the dark of this sea cave. And we're like, oh my goodness, we're gonna die. So, there's like water spraying, and it's just pitch black. You can't see, and we're like, where are we going? And it ends up
Wow.
making this loop, but it was really thrilling. And then just the Nepali coast is the most iconic and scenic thing, you usually see from pictures of Hawaii. So I love that. There's, volcanoes if you want to go to the Big Island. They've got the lava over there and the big craters. So that's really awesome to see. Another scenic one is the Road to Hana on Maui, where you
Mhm.
just kind of go through, and there's all these waterfalls every time you make a turn. The best thing we ever did was we had a convertible we rented. Usually, I know I just did a reel about not doing convertibles in Hawaii because it rains, but um, but this is one of the times where it was great because you get that fresh air, and you could smell the different flowers, and you could hear the waterfalls as you turned each corner. We had some friends that did the bus tour thing, and they just
Oh
got
yeah.
so car sick because everybody's in this bus, and it's turning, and it's a lot of turns for that. So um, one of my favorite things is my number one thing is, if you love wildlife, that's always my goal when I travel. I love, going to see wildlife wherever we go. That's always a big one for me. But I love in the winter is the whales come here to have their babies.
Oh,
And
okay. I
so,
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. So they come all from Alaska and up there, and then they come migrate down here, and this is like the
Okay.
largest hot spot for them all to come here. The waters are warmer because the babies don't have as much fat, so they can kind of get them a little fatter and healthier. And then when it starts warming up, they head back to Alaska. um,
Oh, interesting.
but it's so cute because so if you come in the winter, the little babies, they're trying to like learn to breach. And so they like pop up, and
Uh-huh.
they're wiggling, and they slap down. And then there's some heat runs of males and females. And so it's just a hot spot of especially on Maui and the Big Island.
Okay.
And they're everywhere. It's like whale soup. And then so that's always fun. And then
That's
just a great,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have a ton of animals here. I mean, we have a lot of birds and lizards and things like that, but we don't have anything that's going to really harm you. So that's a great thing if you go hiking here. It's very family friendly. We don't have any poisonous things. So that's great as far as tropical environments go. So um, And cultural things, I don't know if you know this, but Hawaii has the only palace in America. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so that's cool. On Oahu, you can go see the palace here. And
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things. There's cultural, there's old Heiau ruins, and there's just so much. So I could keep going on and on, but there's a lot
I
to
love it.
do basically, depending on what your interests are. There's probably something here. And snorkeling,
That
of course. That's
and snorkeling. Yeah, that seems snorkeling and surfing tend to be those very typical things that you imagine that you want to do when you go to Hawaii.
yes.
Um, Now, I know that some of our Disney Affinity Group clients certainly want to hear about Alani. So, have you been to Alani, and how would you describe that experience to viewers?
I have. We've been many times. We love it. It's very obviously family friendly. Um, it's I feel like it's very affordable. If you look at what some of the bigger hotels cost here, and then you look at what Aulani is, I feel like it's very affordable for considering the price comparison. Because usually you get a little more Disney premium, but um, it's just the rooms are immaculate. The pools are so much fun. They have the lazy river. They have two different water slides. We just took my nephew, and it was so cute because he's 2, and he got to do the little water slide with us down and on the little floaties and but it's got that Disney touch, which I love, because you're not just going down the lazy river, but there's all these little hidden rock animals in like hidden in the rocks. And so you're floating down the river, and they're all Hawaiian animals. So there's like a monk seal or turtles, or, so you're kind of, and it was really fun for him because he could sit there and go, oh, I see it. I see the fish. I see this. And so it kind of makes it more of that little magical experience, which is fun. And then now that they've kind of reopened everything, it's been really great because before with COVID, you had to go and you kind of wave far away from the characters.
Right.
Now it's great because they're all back. So you'll be in the pool and then Goofy will walk by and like, just start playing with everybody. And then they have the character breakfast we just did for the first time. That was super fun. And it's fun because they have like the Hawaiian music playing. One of my favorite things, this is probably like a quirky Disney thing that I just think is so adorable, but in the elevators at Aulani, all the music that's played is all instrumental Hawaiian music, but it's all
Oh,
um, Disney songs. And I'm like,
very
I would
nice.
love well, they're singing, but they're singing in, so it's not instrument, but they're singing in Hawaiian, but all the Disney songs in Hawaiian with like the Hawaiian tune. And I'm like, I would love that CD if they ever sold it, because it's so fun, because it's like the songs and you want to sing along, but you kind of can't because it's all in Hawaiian. But it's just this nice, it's and then another thing I love is it's right on this cove of this Hawaiian beach cove. So it's this really
Mhm.
calm water, great for families. You have all the chairs out there. Of course, the food's great. So I think it's just a really great quality for any family that wants to go. So
Now,
we love
for
it.
our Disney centric clients who want to go to Alani and experience that for themselves one day, do you recommend doing a few nights there, but then also spending a few days doing some of those cultural or nature or animal centered activities as well, and having a nice balance? Or do you think Alani is the just go to Alani?
I would definitely do both because you come to Hawaii. I know at Aulani, I've seen a lot of the Aulani tour groups. I know you can book through there
Right.
that they send everybody out. If you want to go swim with the dolphins, or you want to go to PCC. So, and I noticed them everywhere because the Aulani. They all have the same wristbands. And so I always know where they are
Oh, okay.
around the island because I know all the different wristbands. Um, So I know you could do it if you wanted to stay, but if say you were more on a budget, I would do at least 2 nights at Aulani, just relaxing, enjoying the all the water activities, the characters, that kind of stuff. And then if you want, you can move to a different hotel if you want to save money on that. And then you can kind of just run around and do all the tours and island circle tours and that kind of thing. Um, but I know some people, like a lot of Disney Vacation Club members, if they get the nice villa and things like that, sometimes I've seen where they'll stay the whole time at Aulani and then just kind of
Right.
go out for a day activity. So, yeah.
Right. Now, I have one more Disney question for you before we move on to some
Yeah.
of your other adventures. I have to ask, is Dole Whip better in Hawaii than it is in Walt Disney World?
Oh, that's a good question. I, I feel like it's the same, but I don't
Okay.
know if it's also because at Disney, you're so hot and tired that it tastes so good. Because I do feel like the flavor is better here.
That's what I've heard.
Because, yes, because you can literally walk around the actual plantation or the actual farms and see the pineapples growing, and they can pick them so much more ripe. So I feel like the flavor is a lot stronger and tastes better here. So,
Okay.
but
Okay. But
but
due to
both are great.
environmental reasons, when you're at Walt Disney World, it can be just as refreshing, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's very, that's why it's so good at Disney because you're so tired. Well, at least we are. We love to do it all.
I
Yeah.
totally understand that. Absolutely. So you guys just got back from a rather large trip over the summer in which you spent quite a bit of time in Europe. So can you tell
Yeah.
us about that vacation that you just took and some of the places that you visited?
Yeah, that was kind of a rare opportunity where, because we don't travel full time. So we have to squeeze in trips, anytime we have some vacation time or however we can be creative with that. But it just kind of worked out that we had a lot vacation time saved up. So we're able to kind of take a bigger chunk. And so we're like, where do we go? And we are literally on the other side of the world from Europe. And so if you're going to do such a long trip, it's kind of nice if you have a little bit more time. So at one point, yeah, because we were about 12-hour difference, so literally on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
we started off in England and then we took the channel over to France and then we went into Switzerland, dropped down into Italy, and then we
Wow.
did Greece, Croatia, and then we ended up back in Italy. So, and kind of a
That's
mix of
fantastic.
everything. It was wonderful. It was great. We were on the move a lot because I get FOMO, and so I want to see and do it all. Um, but a lot of it was nice because it was a lot of things that I've been to before, but then now I'm bringing my kids back. So I didn't feel like this need, okay, we're at the Louvre, we have to see it all. We could really just kind of highlight things that are more family centered rather than
Right.
um, squeezing all that in. And then just kind of, having, I guess, I don't know, I'm on the go a lot with them and they're used to it. So they're, they're good at that. But we did a mix of things. We did a lot of hiking and we did like the Dolomites or the Swiss Alps. So we did a lot of outdoor stuff. That tends to be more of what we gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Um, and but we also did, city things like we did Cinque Terre and Rome and those kind of iconic
Right.
places. And that, they're all great. They're just so different from each
Now,
other. So
how long was your trip?
we were gone for 30 days.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. So I have been to most of the places that you mentioned. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the particular landmarks or destinations that you saw
Yeah.
in a couple of these countries. So give me one or two of your favorite places that you visited on this most recent trip in England and France.
Yeah. Our my absolute favorite, I think, because it was a new one for me too, and a big bucket list one was Stonehenge. Um, so we had landed from Hawaii, and we landed at 9 a.m. in England time, which was I think 8 p.m. our time. So whenever, my best tip for when you have big time change is you got to get on that schedule right away. And so
Right.
we were,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it was like 9 a.m. I'm like, we're up, guys. Like, let's go. So we went and did like Windsor Castle and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were driving out, and then my husband, you got the jet lag. He's on the other side of the car, on the other side of the road, driving this car, and there's so many roundabouts. So we're going around roundabout after roundabout. I'm like, I feel like I'm on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride right now, and I'm just like delirious. But it was good actually. We made it to like 5 or 4 p.m. But the next morning, we woke up for this sunrise over Stonehenge. And so there's this tour you can do. They call it like the VIP tour, but anybody can sign up for it. It's a little more money than just your standard Stonehenge ticket. But the cool thing is
Okay.
you get to go before or after the park is open. So we did the sunrise one. It books up quick, so you got to snag them as soon as you know you're going to go. But so I think we had to get up at like 4 o'clock or something. It was something early. But you're still kind of
Your
delirious.
kids
You're
haven't slept yet.
excited.
Yeah.
No, no. We don't really sleep on vacation. Um, it was so cool though, because you get there and the sunrise is coming up, and it's, of course, all the colors. And then what's awesome about this tour is that you get to go inside Stonehenge. So
Oh, wow.
usually you're on the outside, like pretty far away.
Right.
The
Right.
walkway for Stonehenge is pretty far. So yeah, for these tours, you get to go inside. So you're walking through the columns, you're standing in the middle of Stonehenge. And something I didn't know is that there's like this a lot of the rocks have some sort of magnetic property. So, like,
Okay.
one of the guides was saying, oh, if you put your arm in between them, like the hairs on your arm will stand up
Okay.
from
And
it.
did that
So
happen?
you get, um, we felt a little weird, but you don't know if
Okay.
you're in your head or not. But so
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
is it? Is it not? I don't know. But there's all these ancient graffiti too, like people like over, you know, the years that have carved, like there's like little Roman carvings and all kinds of things and
Right.
in the rocks. And so it was just something that was so special because I don't know, it's just like that moment when you're standing there and you're in a new place and you're like, wow, I am here. And something
Yes.
especially, yeah, when you've seen
Yeah.
it in pictures so much, and everyone's seen pictures of Stonehenge, and then just being able to stand there in the middle of it, sunrise, and you're like, wow, I'm here. So it's just a
I
really special moment.
I know the exact feeling that you're describing. It for me, that moment was my first time in Rome, and
Mm.
we're on an evening tour throughout the city. The sun was setting, and we turned the corner and saw the Pantheon for the first time, and I felt like I was walking into a history book.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where I had to pinch myself to make sure that I was awake and experiencing this in real life, because it's something that you dream about, you see. You're always like, oh, one day I'm going to see that in person, and then when you actually do, it takes your breath away a little bit. And I had a kind of a similar feeling walking into the Colosseum in Rome too on a
Mm.
tour. That you see this in photos and movies, and then you yourself are walking or witnessing this in person. It is a very unique experience and a very special feeling when you're at one of those iconic landmarks.
Oh yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is that every time we go, I've never regretted going somewhere. I've never regretted booking that
Exactly.
ticket. I might have a little anxiety beforehand, like, okay, how do we make this work? Um, but when you're standing in your moment, and you just realize how short time can be and how fast time moves. So that's why I love putting pen to paper and just putting down, okay, what's my next 3-year goal for where we want to go or what we want to achieve? Because when you're able to kind of just put a timeline to what you want to do, and then you just find ways to make it happen, and you get those pinch me moments that are just so magical. And then to kind of experience that too as a family is just I don't know, it's just amazing and I love it. So
Well, you know what? You bring up a great point, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about today is what does it mean to you to be able to travel with your family, provide that experience for your kids? And then the second part to that is why do you think it's such a valuable experience for them to be able to experience this at a young age?
yeah, that that's the part I feel like they have grown so fast. And I know everybody says this about time moving so quickly. I lost my stepmom in her early 50s, and it just makes you realize that, your tomorrow may not be promised to you. And so to look back at these memories and to see these big moments that we've had, and also when you travel there's the little moments too that are just really special that you know um, it's just something that you take with you forever. And I feel like it pays over time. Like if we travel now, I get to carry those memories for the next, 50 years. Versus
Right.
if I wait till the very end, you don't get as much payout for it. So,
Right.
but
I love
but
that.
I
I
think,
love that.
yeah, but I think something that, especially traveling with them now, I really feel like it's helped build their character. They've had to learn to come out of their shell, to be able to talk to strangers, to be able to introduce them to cultures at a young age. Um, I feel like makes them more open to how people can be different, and that's a good thing. It just I feel like it just kind of expands their heart and their understanding of the world and people, and how every time we go to a new place, there's just something special about every little place that we've been. And I feel like that's going to be something that they can take with them as they grow,
Right.
both, in personality and then just being open to things. So there's so much that they've learned, you know, uh, from traveling. So I feel like it's been also very educational and helpful for them too, because now, in my son's class, they were learning about Greece, and my son could kind of recall, oh yeah, I remember when we were at Poseidon's temple, and he could visualize that and think about that. And so,
Right.
there's a lot of different levels to it. And in addition to us just being closer as a family, being able to go on those hikes or have those moments together, we can kind of recall that together and kind of have those bonding moments, which are great.
Yeah, that's
So,
fantastic. I think it's wonderful what you guys have been able to do and experience as a family, and provide that for your kids. Now, I'm going to ask you to speak on behalf of your kids here with this next question. What would you say would be their favorite place that they have been on your adventures?
I feel like one of the biggest ones that they would probably recall would be, we went to Komodo National Park in Indonesia. Um, and that one was so special, but I think what made it special was that we had met another family friends of ours, and then they
Hmm.
had their friends with them. We had our friends with us. And so we were on a boat for a couple days. And so this, just being on the water, but you also have your friends, but you're also at these, you're seeing dragons. Like,
Right.
where else can you see dragons in the wild, or, we were running on like this, swimming in this pink sand beach area. And there's only like 5 or 6 pink sand beaches in the world. So it was just a really special time. But I feel like my kids' favorite times have been like when we were with friends or met up with friends. So I love traveling with groups or with other people. I haven't done a lot of solo traveling. I know people like to solo travel, but there's just something I like about sharing it with others that I think just makes it really fun.
Yeah, for a lot of trips and vacations, that is part of the best part of the trip.
Yeah.
Is being able to share that with people, and people you meet along the way, and people that you bring along with you for the vacation. So, let
Hmm.
me ask you, what are your two or three favorite places that you've ever been?
Oh, one of my favorites, probably cliche, but I loved Tahiti, like Bora Bora, Moorea, because
Okay.
I am a sucker for clear, beautiful water and gorgeous reef. I love to free dive. So that was just some of the most beautiful water I've ever seen. And I live in Hawaii. The water's beautiful here. But that was gorgeous.
And for some
Australia,
of our
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Before we get into Australia, which I heard, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, for are some of our viewers who may not know what free diving is, describe free diving and where you can do that.
Yeah, you can free dive pretty much anywhere. But basically, it just means that you're diving down without a tank. So, scuba diving, you have the air tank behind you. My husband and I are scuba certified. Like right after I
Okay.
had my first kid, my husband was like, "Hey, let's get scuba certified." I'm like, "I just had
Naturally,
a
right?
baby,"
Yeah.
and then I was like, "All right." So, but it's just sometimes, you've got the wetsuit on and the tank and just all these things, and it's just so awkward. So free diving, I don't need any of that. I can just go down, hold my breath. I can't do it too long. I'm about 2 minutes right now.
2 minutes
Um,
underwater.
yeah, but
Wow.
there's something that's just so nice about just being under there and just being a part of that environment. And I kind of lived my little mermaid dreams too. Um,
Angela,
but
you
yeah,
said just 2 minutes. To me, that feels like a pretty long time. Is that not in the world of free diving, or I mean, that sounds
no,
pretty good to me.
no, free diving. There's another girl that we've gone free diving with some sharks over here on the North Shore, and she can
Wait,
do
wait,
like,
wait, wait. Hold up, hold up.
yeah,
Before you get it, you free diving with sharks,
yes, yeah. It's
Angela.
Um, so I mean, it's another thing you can do on Hawaii, but I love her. She's kind of like one of my little idols. But if you've ever heard of her, Ocean Ramsey, they call her like the Shark Whisperer. But she has these tours that she does on the North Shore, and you can free dive with the sharks. And it sounds crazy, but I've done
it,
shark
it does.
cages. You're not as close. Like the shark cages, I get seasick, ironically, I know. And so in the cages, though, you're getting knocked around and it's like claustrophobic. And then they chum the water so the sharks come up really close and you can see them. And I'm like, it's just an awful experience for me. But then when you're free diving with them, it's so nice because
That's because it just sounds like an awful experience.
it is. I'm personally, for me, I'm not a fan of the cage. I like being free. So with
Yep.
the free diving, you're not nearly as close, obviously, but it's
Okay.
so peaceful. It's so calm. It's like, I don't know, if you're watching fish in an aquarium just swim around, there's big fish. But it sounds weird. But I gave my kids the opportunity. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna go on the boat. If you want to go in, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. And I really trust all their, I trust Ocean with everything, and she was the one with us. Um, and yeah, my daughter was 8 and was like free diving down, and Ocean, who she can hold her breath for almost 6 minutes, and
What?
yeah,
Six
she's
minutes?
yeah, almost, yeah,
Oh,
she's way better trained than I.
oh
I'm
my
I'm a
gosh.
newbie. So but she's like, "Oh my goodness, your daughter dives better than most adults." And I was like mom pride there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, it's just I think it's this perspective of, we all think about Jaws, but really like they're really beautiful creatures. And I think like when you go on a safari in Africa and there's lions, like everyone,
Okay.
that's still a predator that can eat you, and you're sitting on a
Yeah.
car close to it. So it's kind of similar. It's a safari in the water.
So I hear you, Angela. I don't know if I'm sold yet on that experience, but here's what I'll
Yeah.
say. The next time I'm in Hawaii,
Yes.
you're gonna take me free diving, and
Yes.
in the meantime, I'm going to practice, and I'm going to at least be able to hold my breath, 2 minutes. And I'm gonna go experience this. You're gonna take me because I'm having a hard time picturing myself doing this without panicking. So I
Yeah.
just feel like this is something I have to do. So I'm going to practice, and the next time I'm there, you take me free diving.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
So, okay, moving away from sharks for a little bit,
Yes.
okay? I got to get away from sharks here. Well, actually, maybe not, because you had made mention that Australia was one of your favorite destinations. So, what
Yeah.
are some key things to do in Australia that made it one of your top places to visit? And if you tell me swimming with sharks,
No, actually, that one was not a place. That one's one I'm a little more careful with. Australia does have a lot of sharks though, but
yeah.
um, no, that one actually one of my favorite things again with the animal theme with me, sorry, is I was holding a koala.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Wow, we
yeah.
went from sharks to koala bears.
Koala bears. I have never felt anything so soft in my life. And they grip you like a little baby, and they've got these little hands, and then they just hug you. And I just never wanted to let it go ever again. So it was the cutest little thing. So that's fun. And there's a couple places where you can um, go see them, and so that was really special
That,
there.
that's that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Australia makes the top of your list.
Yeah.
I talk to me. To close out. What are some of your upcoming trips that you have planned or you have ideas for?
Yeah, we are this spring, we are headed to Japan. So very excited. My husband hasn't been there since he was a little kid, and I've never been there, and the kids haven't been there. So it'll be a really fun experience. So of course we're gonna do some Disney with the kids and check that out because I mean that's actually a big reason why I want to go to Japan. And the kids are learning Japanese, so I think it'll be a really good transition for them to kind of work on their language as well. And then just do a lot of the
That's awesome.
cultural things there and see some of the temples and maybe make some ramen. And that was something we really loved when we were in Italy was we did a cooking class. And it was one of our favorite things we did while in Europe was just slowing down for a minute and just doing this whole thing where we made pasta and it was just so much fun. So now I feel like any time I go somewhere, I want to do a cooking class.
That's awesome.
So
That trip sounds amazing, and we certainly look
yeah.
forward to following along on social media. So one more time, where can viewers find you and photos and videos from all your fun adventures?
Yeah, follow us over on Sunrise Voyagers and on Instagram is our main platform and then also TikTok and YouTube.
Excellent, excellent. Well,
Yeah.
Angela, thanks so much for
And
being on the
Facebook,
show
I guess.
today, and Facebook, Good.
Can't
Uh,
forget Facebook. Meta.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to a long-lasting and adventure-filled partnership.
Thank you. Aloha. Thank you so much.
And if you are interested in taking your family, whether on a great adventure around the world or to Hawaii, please make sure to use one of our expert vacation planners over at 407 and Beyond. You can get started with a free, no obligation quote at www.407vacations.com. Until the next show, everybody, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon.